So how did I make a film with no experience, and kind of what would I do different if I started again? If you ever want to make a film, definitely don't listen to anyone that says that you need all this experience or you need X, Y, and Z. There's always a lot of people that are very fearful, that don't think things are possible or they're extremely hard. And yes, a lot of times they're harder than you think. It really doesn't help you in any way because you're not going to know how hard it is until, or what level of hardness or toughness it is before you get started. So what's the point of that? I wouldn't listen to anyone about what you need and what you don't need. I think the best way, just like most things, is just to get started. You know, you don't and just get this out of your head that you need experience to start anything. Yeah, you'll improve with experience, but on the flip side, there's going to be some of you that are going to be better with no experience than some people that might have been doing this for 20 years. You know, doesn't necessarily equate that how experienced you are is that you're necessarily going to be good or not good. I remember when I started one of my first companies like 10 years ago. I remember it was a car logistics industry. So I was dealing with people that I've been working in this industry 20, 30 years, you know? And it's like, yeah, when I started the first 2 months, it was, I definitely didn't know what I was doing. But honestly, I felt like after 6, 7 months, people that have been doing it 10 years, they didn't have anything groundbreaking that I was like, oh, never thought of that. If anything, I thought that my perspective made me grow faster because I didn't have any of those limiting beliefs. I didn't have any old ways of doing things. And I think that's the case for filmmaking now as well. And that's why I'm excited myself to, start this production company, to really go into production more and more. And I've gotten my feet wet in the sense that I've produced a movie already and I've sold movies, but to really commit to it and really start basically utilizing the ideas that I've had for a long time and the experiences I've had in these different industries, I think for myself, that will make me a better producer, a better filmmaker than I think most people out there. And I think will make the company more unique and viable in the indie filmmaking world than a lot of stuff that's out there. That's not an arrogant way, but it's more in a way of I just don't think that people that have been doing it forever are better at these things. A lot of times I think they're worse because they have bad habits and they're still living in the past. They're still living in how things were done 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. Indie film and filmmaking is not even what it was 5 years ago, not even 4 years ago. So it's like things have to change completely, and you need innovators. You need people that think differently, that think outside the box, that aren't doing things in the traditional way or how people think things should go. You need original thinking, and that's what I'm excited to start working on. And that's something that if you've never made a film, you don't need to start as a PA or do anything. Like you can, and to be on set and stuff, that'll help being on set, and it'll make you more comfortable. You don't need the experience, I think, especially if you have a background in business or you've done other things, there are definitely ways that all those experiences will help you more than a lot of people that have been doing this for 20 years. I would personally find a person that has worked in multiple industries and businesses more valuable than someone that's worked 20 years in the film industry. I probably wouldn't hire that person. Plus, the thing about the film industry, it's not like a traditional industry. It's like kind of like the Wild West in some ways, because most industries you have this corporate structure of how things go and you get promoted and all these things. It's like film industry isn't like that, and that's a good and a bad thing, but it's like there is no entryway. There's no easy entryways. For example, if you want to be a director, then you just have to be a director. You know what I mean? You have to start directing. There's no like working your way up. There's things that can help you for sure, and if you're a DP, then at least you have that experience and that can help you. But again, personally, I think too much experience in certain areas can sometimes hurt a person because they get stuck in ways of thinking. And I was listening to this interview from a long time ago. I think it was Orson Welles, and he was talking about that his lack of experience at the time, what he didn't know that was not possible, made him a better filmmaker than a lot of people. Because he said at the time, I didn't know what the camera could or couldn't do. So I was just thinking of how I wanted to shoot this scene, and how I wanted this to look in my mind, in my dreams, and that's what he said. And it's like, that makes complete sense to me because he wasn't limited by what people said was possible. And there's a lot of limitations and limited beliefs in this industry. Like there will be people that will tell you you can't do this for that little money, or you need way more money to do this, or this type of movie you need X budget. And it's like, that's not true anymore. Like, with all the technology and everything that's out there, there's a lot of different ways you can do things, and there might be ways that you think about if you're starting filmmaking that I would have never thought about. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you're gonna come up with some idea where it's like, wow, how would you come up with that? Because you weren't listening or to all the old ways of thinking. And at the end of the day, all the experience only helps when you're doing the actual thing, not all the positions leading up to it. If you want to film make, or you want to produce a film or direct, you need to do that thing so you can improve in that thing. But it's just better to start right away. It's like kind of like being an entrepreneur in that sense. If you want to be an entrepreneur, there's no like, you do this position and this position, then you become an entrepreneur. It's like, no, you're an entrepreneur, you just start. You start whatever you're thinking about, and you don't really know potentially what you're doing initially, but you try to learn quickly. And because you're new, a lot of times you're going to do things differently. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs like that. Entrepreneurs are famously the people that innovate industries, that disrupt industries. Why are there not more disruptors in that way? And I kind of hate that term, because I feel like it gets used by all these guys that are getting VC funding, and it's a really overused word, disruptor, because it's just something that people use when they're not even disrupting anything. So it's an overused word, but that isn't something that's been happening in the filmmaking industry that much. Maybe A24, I guess you could, I would say A24 in that way. That's a company that I look up to a lot, in the sense that I love what they've been doing and how original they've been doing everything, and the success that they've been having doing it different than a lot of people. But to me, it's like that, if anything, that should give you optimism, and gives me optimism, because if one person, one company has been having success creating original stories, original films, and everyone's been saying that that's not working, and in all the studios they're just doing remakes, and they're risk averse to anything because they say, oh, it doesn't work. A24 just keeps doing it over and over, even now. And it's like, that means there's room for that, and there's not just room for just one. Now, you can't copy A24 exactly, you wouldn't be successful then, but that means there's something else that you can do that's original, that's different, and there's room for you to do that. But first I want to mention that when I started, I'd never even been on set, really. You know what I mean? I'd never made a movie, nothing like that. And in a span of like a year, we ended up raising money, and I led that with fundraising a lot. And we raised money, got into pre-production, production, post-production, and now we're looking at distribution. So it's like, and I don't know how successful this movie's gonna be. It's the first movie, just never know. But I learned a lot, you know what I mean? I learned a lot that right away now, in my next thing, or next film, I already know 100 things that I would do differently. And not from what people have told me or how people do it in the industry for 20 years, just from what I felt like didn't work, what did work, what I think should be different, even costs that I think I paid too much, because actually I did listen at some points to people that told me I needed X, Y, and Z. And then when I look back on it, I was like, didn't really need that. Like, why did I end up paying for that? That didn't make any sense. That could have been better spent. And I think that's a huge strength. What was good for me, it was very entrepreneurial. It felt very natural fit in that way, because it was really about hiring the right people, selling your idea, and then basically managing the whole process and problem solving. That's literally what almost every business is, and entrepreneurship is. So I think those skills are key skills, especially hiring the right people, and being able to sell your idea, getting people excited and on board with what you're doing, so that if you are making a very low budget film, and most of you that are doing your first thing, you're going to be doing a very low budget film. You know what I mean? Maybe you're making a film for 20K. You know what I mean? Or less, who knows? You know what I mean? You're going to be making your first film for very little. You're probably not going to have a $5 million budget. You know, if you have a $1 million budget, I would consider that actually pretty high for your first time. And I don't think you need that your first time. I think you'll learn more with lower budget and having to be resourceful, and then that'll carry over to higher budgets. But I think knowing how to make that work is key. And for each of these skills, you're going to have ones that you're better at and worse at. Some you're going to need to improve, and some you're naturally going to be better at. And there's also ways that you can get other people on board. If you're a person that's really great at basically selling the idea and getting people on board and people excited about your vision and what you're trying to do, then you don't even need to be that strong in all these other areas. You can also take on people, partner with people that are good at the things that you're not good at, you know. So there's so many ways to do it. I think you need to know, what are your strengths, what are you good at, what can you improve, what are you most interested in improving and would have the most impact, and start doing that. And everything else, who can you get on board that can do it better than you? So if you're producing your first film, the first thing is going to be the script. The script is going to be super key. Without a good script and a story that people are excited about, it's going to be really difficult. And I think the first thing that I would do is if you're a writer, great, then this problem is solved. And if you're a good writer, you know, and if you're honest with yourself and you think this story is great and you've gotten a lot of feedback that this story is great, definitely get a lot of feedback to also make sure that this is a good story, because sometimes when you write your own thing, you think it's better than potentially it is. You know what I mean? Everyone's guilty of that. If you're not a writer, then you need to find a script. But let's say you're starting out and you don't have X amount of money to give away or to buy a script. Then you need to figure out a different way to get a script. And again, it comes with selling your vision. There's a lot of places to do it. You can, obviously Facebook's always a place that you can find scripts, but it's get a very wide range of quality. You do get really good people too, but it's just a lot. Because I remember I posted once in one of these Facebook groups, screenwriting, I think, some screenwriting group, about my plan, producing it, blah, blah, blah. And I had like 100 emails and so many pitches of their stories that eventually just became overwhelming, because I was just like, I don't know, and some of them weren't very good. But then, you know, there were people that were good, you know what I mean? But there weren't a lot of stories that spoke to me or that I found interesting. Then eventually I ended up actually finding a script on the Blacklist, which is another place that you can check out. And that had been, you know, had won some awards, and when I read it right away, I knew it was really good, because I felt emotional reading it. But it also read really easily and fast. Like, I read through it and I was enjoying the whole read. If you feel like yourself zoning out in different areas of the script, then, you know, sometimes it's the script's not really what you're looking for, or maybe it's not as good, you know what I mean? I think definitely trust yourself there in terms of the emotion and what you're feeling, and how much you're enjoying the script. And then then also again, get feedback. If you have 2-3 trusted people, and let them read it with the writer's permission, and then get some feedback to make sure that you're not the only one seeing it this way. If you find that script and you're excited about it, then you need to be able to option this script. Now, you don't have money to give up front, so that's why Blacklist, Facebook, a lot of times it'll be easier to make a good deal that's not money up front, with writers that haven't been produced yet, that are not in WGA yet, basically that haven't really, like, they're at the start of their career, they're starting their career, and writing is an extremely hard profession to get into, as hard as becoming a successful actor, maybe harder, who knows. But you know, it's really tough. Getting your foot in the door is tough. So one of their things is, if they can get a movie produced and made, that's already a huge win for them. You know, that gives them a lot career-wise. That doesn't mean, hey, you're trying to get this for free. You're not doing this for free. But you can make a deal where they get a percentage of whatever budget you raise. Maybe it's 2.5%, 3%, 4%, whatever it is. And those are pretty much the standard ranges of what percentage of the budget that they would get. And again, use Google, you can see what standard deals are. And then again, even contract-wise, there's contracts online that you can find, templates that you can use. So I would definitely do that. And then you do that, and if you're able to agree with that person, well, now you have step one handled. You have a good script, you have it optioned for, I'd say usually 2 years at least. But I usually try to structure them for 2 years. I have it 1 year, where if I attach someone within 1 year, then it automatically extends for a second year. And that's what you want. It's good for both of you, because if you have it for a year and you have 0 going on, you can't get anyone attached, well then either you're not spending a lot of time on it, or everyone that you're going out to and trying to get on board, no one likes it that much. So then it's probably best for both of you to move on. But you should be able to attach someone that you agree on that is good for the movie. Let's say a year for that max, and then you extend. That gives you 2 years to raise funding and get into production, right? That's a decent amount of time. I think once you get past that, if there's no forward momentum, then maybe it's not happening. There needs to be some momentum going forward for both you and the writer, you know, because or else they can go out and resell or try to sell the script to someone else that will move it along. So I think that's, to me, the most fair deal. So after that, you're going to need attachments, because nowadays, especially if you're a first-time producer, very tough to get funding with nothing, just a script. That's pretty much nearly impossible unless you just have like the best script. So you're gonna need, in my opinion, if you're not directing it, which if you're directing it, that's fine. You can definitely make that work. But again, you're gonna have more challenges. Just be aware of that if you're a first-time director. You're gonna need actors to trust that it's going to be good, and it's definitely possible, just a little bit more challenging. But if you're just a producer and you're trying to get a director on board, that's an option too. So then what you would do is you would go on something like IMDb Pro or just Google or whatever, and you would find out maybe all these films that you like, what these directors are doing. You could start high. Those are going to be hard to reach, the bigger ones, because you're going to have to go through their agent and manager a lot of times, and with no money, very tough. But there are other ways to do it. Some indie films, some of them don't have reps, or maybe not very high up reps. Easier to reach and make a deal there without having money in the bank account already for them. So I think that's what I would do if I was you. I would, look at some indie films recently that you've liked. And again, you're gonna have to watch a lot of indie films to know who you like, and then reach out to those people through IMDb Pro. Another one is slated.com. That one's really good. If you're on there, you can connect with directors as well, and there's a lot on there as well. There's a lot of positions on there in general. It's almost like a networking-ish site for filmmakers and people in film industry. And you can find directors there as well. We have as well. So I definitely think that's viable as well. So there's different ways to do it, but those would be the two best ways. Once you have the director on board, now it gets more interesting. Now you just need, you could probably try to raise funding with just a director, depending on what genre and stuff like that, and you could do that. But ideally, I think you should at least get one actor on board, maybe even two, but let's say one actor. And if you have the director and the director's done some work, then there's work to look at, and an actor might be excited to work with that director and attach without you having the funding already. And that happens frequently, where an actor will attach knowing that you're using their name to basically generate funding for the film. So that's what we would call attaching an actor. So you would still have an offer, you would still make an offer, but obviously you would only get paid if the movie actually gets made. You don't owe anything unless like you make a pay or play deal. So don't do that, because that basically means you would be on the hook for that money no matter what. You don't want to make that deal ever. But you do want to make the deal where you can attach them and they will get X amount, whatever you negotiate, if the movie gets made, and then they're attached. Now you can use their name in your pitch deck, in your pitches, to help raise funding, and now you're off to the races. Now you're off to the part where it's just fully focused on raising funds. So now you're going to get to the financing, and that's a topic by itself that I'll make a separate video about. That's just a huge topic. There's so many ways to do funding, and the more I've learned about it, the more I've realized, like, oh wow, there's a lot of ways to do this. Like, there's brand integration, brand deals, equity funding, obviously, equity crowdfunding, like Indiegogo, which is different than equity, co-productions, grants from companies or from foreign countries, grants in America as well, but there are good ones, but they're lower money. There's actually bigger grants in like some countries in Europe. So grants in different countries, doing co-productions. All those are creative ways to get your funding. And then obviously there is pre-sales. There's also some loans that work depending on your whole package, and tax incentives as well, where you can also get a loan off the tax incentive. So I'll go into that deeper in order because all those things are there's a lot there, but just so you know, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And again, the hardest part, like anything, is getting that initial money. I think once you get that initial money and you get going, especially if you get to 40-50% of your budget, then you have a very good shot. You're probably going to make your budget through these other ways as well. So if you've done all that, then you've done, in my eyes, some of the hardest parts, especially the funding part. But you're already a very good producer at that point. You've taken something from nothing to a script, to getting funding, to getting in production. And I've made another video as well about all that, like pre-production, production, everything that happens there. So definitely watch that one. But that's basically the hardest parts, and you're basically done it at this point. So congrats if you've gotten to this, and watch that other video, and as well watch out for a video about financing. That's a super interesting topic. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.